the beginning of this webinar. Thank you again for joining. The purpose today is to show you the platform. There will be 3-4 minutes of slides just to give you the context of what is Front, why we exist, who are we, who are our customers, and then we will switch right away to the demo of the platform. We won't have time to go into too much depth today, but the idea is to give you a gist, an overview of what the platform does, and then if you would like to go into more depth after this webinar, more than happy to take it offline on a one-on-one basis and dig deeper to see if it fits your needs. Who is speaking today? Who are you listening to? My name is Hugo Ramadier. I work from our Paris office, and I'm a product consultant. And I've been at Front for about 2 years. And just for the context, we have our headquarters in San Francisco, an office in Phoenix, and our EMEA headquarters for operations in Paris. I suggest let's get started. And please, if you have any question on the chat, feel free to add your questions, your comments. I'm with my colleague Vishal today, who then can reply live. And at the end, we'll keep 5 minutes to address all the questions that you have. So agenda, like I said, very briefly, what is Front? Why do we exist? Who uses Front? To then be able to picture yourself and visualize if this could be applicable and useful for your teams as well. And then we'll switch to the demo of the platform. Why do we exist? Very simple. So we started about 8 years ago with the idea that the observation that companies had a hard time managing inbound communication, flowing in team inboxes, info at, contact at, support at, that typically, like most companies out there, leverage either Outlook or Gmail for it. And it's just a mess because you have no visibility, no understanding on who is responding, who is accountable, who is the owner. And it's just, as you grow as a company, as your communication needs grow, it becomes quite hard to scale and manage. Today, Front has evolved, and it's simply a customer communication platform that centralizes all the communication channels that you use and leverage to communicate with the outside world. So in one platform, everything is aggregated. The end goal is simple: to improve customer experience and to help you save time and do more with what you already have. You probably understood, but the main point today is communication. We are a customer communication platform, and we know that for most companies, it's a team sport. Why is it a team sport? Simply because when you receive an inquiry in an inbox like info support at, or either maybe also other channels of communication like a chat or a Facebook or a contact form, internally, behind the scenes, there are more than one person taking action. You might receive a inquiry into support. Then maybe the support team will need someone in sales, someone in IT, someone in accounting to ask a question, ask for help. And this today, without Front, happens in 2 ways. The first one is forwarding an email, so sending an email about an email, or switching over to another chat platform for internal collaboration, either Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangout, or others. And then it becomes about stepping out of your email inbox, asking a question about an email, and then coming back. And then you lose the context of your question. And quite obviously, as you grow, as you scale, this becomes a challenge, more of a challenge. You increase the amount of employees, you increase the amount of customers you have, you increase the number of communication channels, the volume of requests grows, and by itself, it becomes more and more of a challenge to manage and make sense. So you probably understood, and you will understand much clearer in the demo. Front, it's not rocket science. We provide you with a very simple to use customer communication platform that allows you to scale and make sure you can still speak to your customers as if they were the only one. You will not give them a ticket number. So you can have thousands of customers, hundreds of thousands of emails or messages flowing in. You will still have this one-to-one relationship with them, and they won't feel like they are a ticket number. Who are our customers? Communication is the game of everyone, almost everyone. But we see three industries that have the most traction or that find the most value with front: technology, logistics, and financial services. We have over 6,000 customers today around the world. But those three sectors are, I would say, the three biggest ones today. Of course, we have many others from other sectors like hospitality, travel, and so on. And in the end, the interesting thing is across those sectors, across those industries, it's the same teams that use front. They are customer-facing teams: customer support, sales, customer success / account management, operations, and also typically finance teams. Why? Because they are the people receiving the most messages from the outside, and they are the teams communicating with the outside, with the customers, the partners, the resellers, the suppliers. So those teams are the ones leveraging and finding the most value out of front. And that's basically it for the slides. If you have any question about this more theoretical part, please feel free to ask. I see the chat popping, so I guess some of you are already asking questions. But now we will move to, I guess, the gist or the meat of this presentation, the demo. Can you, once again, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? I want to make sure that I show you what I'm talking about. Amazing. Thank you, guys. So this is the view of front when you log yourself in the morning. Front, let's start from the very beginning, is a full cloud-based solution. So you either access it here on the browser, or you download the app on your desktop or on your mobile, both iOS and Android. And front is built to replace your Gmail, replace your Outlook. So you probably saw already, it looks kind of like an email client. So if you're using Gmail today or Outlook, and you want to test front and use front, front will not be just another standalone application. It will replace your Gmail or your Outlook, and you will see how you will then make it a platform so that in the end, you spend most of your day inside front and not switching back and forth between all the different applications that you use. Let's start from the bottom, top left here. There is the Me section. The Me section is your section, your space, your inbox. Only you have access to it. And kind of like Gmail or Outlook, you have your inbox, your folders, your labels. You organize your inbox the way you want. The only difference, or the main difference, I would say, is the mindset that front that you use with front. It's simply working with open messages versus archived messages. Typically, organizations use read versus unread for messages. That's the way they organize their work and their day. With front, it's thought out to be a to-do list. So you see the counters on the right of each inbox. It simply refers to how many open tasks that you still have. So open versus archived, that's the two differences when you organize your inbox. And the main thing to keep in mind. Just allows you to be more efficient than when you deal with email. And at the bottom of it here, on the same interface, you have all the team inboxes. Team inboxes because those are inboxes, email, chat, social media, you see Twitter, SMS, and so on, that more than one person have access to. If we take, for example, the sales inbox, we see here 91 people can view this message. So those are called team inboxes. And the idea is to really plug those inboxes inside front. And let me show you what I mean by plug, because it's really about that. If we go to the admin section and we add a team inbox, and we give it a test like this, you find a screen or a window where you then select the channels of communication that you receive messages from. Of course, starting with email. That's, again, what we started with 8 years ago. But then you add channels to it. Social media, SMS, WhatsApp, contact form on your website, and that's what most of our customers at some point leverage, custom channels, leveraging our API to aggregate inside front something that you already use, that you maybe built yourself, or something that you receive a lot of messages from. So custom channels is also very used, but those are the channels you can choose from to aggregate inside Front. If we go back to the user interface here, again, individual inbox, team inboxes. If we then select one team inbox, we see on the right-hand side of it, the messages queue. All the messages that arrived into this inbox. First being unassigned, because like I showed you before, 90 people have access to it. We need to know who's the owner. We need to know who's accountable to respond. Otherwise, it doesn't make any difference than Outlook or Gmail. So you'll then click here on assign and select the person on your team that needs to have access. If, for the sake of the demo, we assume it's me, the message then moves from the unassigned status to the assigned status. And here, I have visibility across all the messages that arrived in the sales inbox that are currently being worked on by my team. And I can see who's the owner in blue. And because I assigned it to myself, if I go back to my own inbox under assigned to me, I can see that message. And I can reply to it, either from the team inbox, where the message initially came in, or with my own personal email if I want to make this more personal. In any case, no matter with the email that I respond from, everyone on that team will be able to see the responses that me or colleagues have provided. So you have full visibility across your inbox. And one of the main difference here compared to what you have with Outlook or Gmail is the fact that you are not flooded with notifications. You have one copy of a message that is assigned to someone, that is assigned to someone else, and so on and so forth, but you don't get a notification or an email every single time a message is received or is sent from that team inbox. So you reduce the noise tremendously. One thing to keep in mind as well is the fact that Front, if we go back to the fact that communication is a team sport, allows you to collaborate with your colleagues. And if we take an example here, I will just create a note that is visible only internally. Leighton Graves doesn't see this note. It simply replaces forwarding messages, simply replaces going to Slack or Teams or Hangout to ask something about an email. Let me then maybe just show you what it looks like if I ask someone else who is maybe available. You can communicate with your colleagues like this. It's much faster, and you also get to reply to Leighton or your customers much faster. Ideally, you would have one of my colleagues to reply to me, but it's not the case. Let me try with another one. Let's see with Olivier demo, so you get to see what happens if someone replies. Hopefully they will reply at some point, but you get the purpose. Collaboration chat applied on an email. Once I have done that, I can then reply to my colleagues or to my customers, and this stays on the same thread. Two more things around this window here: the ability for you to see who has access and who did what on that conversation. So I get to see that I'm currently reading it, but that's not something I need to know really. But for my 4 colleagues, they're not replying because they haven't read it yet. If they had read it, I would have seen it. If they would have archived it, I would have seen it. So you have full visibility across the people involved in the message loop to see who did what, who is doing what, and so on. And finally, for the same sake of visibility and accountability, you have what's called an audit trail. So you get to see what happened before. Without this, you're just lost. Your email becomes a black box. You know who forwarded, you know who's in copy, but you don't have much more information than that. With Front, you get to see here who assigned it to themselves, who added the tag, who archived, and so on. So you have, again, full visibility across all the actions taken on a conversation thread. I'm going to stop here for the conversation parts. Of course, there's a lot more to show you: share drafts, snoozing, and so on. But for this sake of the webinar today, I will pause here and, of course, go into more details if you would like to separately offline. Yes, my colleague Sebastian is replying. So you get to see now in real time that you can communicate with your colleagues like this. So happy that you were able to see that. Two more things, or actually three more things I want to show you before looking at your questions. The first one is on the right-hand side, you have a lot of icons, and you might be thinking, what is it? The purpose of those icons is simply to make Front a platform. On the left-hand side, I don't know if you remembered, we added the channels of communication. On the right-hand side, we are simply pulling information from other systems, a CRM, an ERP, a TMS, whatever back office system you have, or database or systems of record, and we are pulling that information inside Front so you have the right context whenever someone writes you. In this very simple case, Leighton writes in with his email, Front automatically looks into Salesforce, our CRM, and shows me information about Leighton. Is he an existing customer? How much is he paying? Where is he based? Who is the account owner? What have we said last time? So you get to choose the information you want to showcase, but it's just a way to provide you with context at your fingertips without having 5 or 6 different tabs open. I'm just showing you Salesforce. You get the idea. More than happy to show you in more depth this as well. Keep in mind we have an open API. So if you have a home-based system or something that we don't have an integration with yet, you are able to leverage our API to build that integration yourself if you want. Two more things I want to show you. One is around rules. I said at the very beginning that one of the 3 reasons why our customers use Front is to handle a large volume of messages. Our largest customers have, I think, a few thousand users and a few hundreds inboxes. So you probably imagine how many messages they get. The purpose is to make sure you only focus on the most value-added tasks of your communication. Not, like I said, like I did at the beginning, I assigned it here. I clicked on assign. You can add a tag. Those things are redundant. You could automate that. So Front gives you the ability to do just that. And if you go under your settings here, I want to show you the rules engine that Front has. That, again, is not complex in itself. In the back end, it is. In the front end, you'll see it's quite straightforward. No code involved. No need to ask your IT about setting up an automation rule. You can simply here, with this logic of when this happens and those conditions are met, Front does this for you. Start to create your own rules yourself as an admin. You could say, for example, one of the most common rules is when we receive an inbound message in the inbox, I don't know, sales ad, the main inbox, and, for example, in the subject of the message, there is the word urgent, or there is the word, I don't know, refund. Then Front will take an action for you if those conditions are met. Will assign to a manager, will add a tag urgent or refund, will automatically reply with a canned response. Thank you for your message. We'll make sure to reply within 24 hours. Things like this. That's a very simple example to show you the idea behind the rules engine to automate processes, and you can do quite some complex stuff with it. The second idea behind the rules is what's called an SLA rule. Same idea, same logic. There is just the notion of time attached to it. So I won't show you again in details, but it's the same idea. When you receive a message and the message is unreplied after 5 minutes, 1 hour, I actually have some people who are in a business that is so urgent that they have to be so reactive that need to have SLA of 1 or 2 minutes. That happens. We have a lot of customers who are doing this. Then Front does some actions for you. Same logic, same idea. So this is a way to automate processes, automate some workflows to make sure you can only focus and respond on the messages themselves and identify immediately what's urgent. The last part about this webinar is around analytics. Analytics is, again, not something that I think I need to explain too much. It's just that in Outlook or Gmail today, you are left alone. You don't have a BI inside those inbox. Front has it natively. So what this means is you are able to drive analytics and understanding of that, not just on your email. We start with your email, but you also have analytics on the other channels of communication that you use, your contact forms, your chat, your social media. You can have those same analytics across your channels. We have 4 reportings that come out of the box. On the top, you see them here. You select a time frame that you're interested in, and then those reports will just automatically be fed by you sending and receiving messages. This one is around volume, so you get to see when you're the most busy, and what kind of message do you receive per tag or per theme. This one is really, really used a lot by especially customer support and operations teams. It's regarding metrics that are quite standard for the industry: average resolution time, average first response, things like this. Of course, not everything might be relevant to you, but it's just a way to at least be a bit more in control around your SLA or your response times. This one is a same metric, but aggregated to the company as a whole. How are we doing to respond to our customers as an organization? And the last one is for B2B companies, it's per customer. Of course, you're not limited to this. You can create, of course, your own custom reports and select one specific inbox, one specific channel, some people, to go into more depth into something in particular. Finally, your data there is not hostage. You can export it. And if you have other tool that you already leverage and use, you can do that. If you prefer Excel, you can, of course, do that. But you can export that and work it differently in other platforms. I hope this was a good overview. I hope I didn't bother you with speaking too much. So I will now go back to the main screen, stop sharing my screen, and look at your questions. So just give me a second. So I deactivate this. Awesome. So let me take your questions one by one. I see Teddy has a question. Is a French version planned? Thank you, Teddy, for your question. I don't know. I don't know in the sense that it's not something that was planned for 2020. For 2021, I don't think so either. I would bet for 2022. That's what I heard with our product team, but we have a lot of French customers, and that's a feedback we get quite often. So I hope at some point it will be prioritized. Yes. Boris, your question: how to automate the creation of roles? We have roughly 5 new clients per day. Do we have to manually create a new role, in this case, add a tag to the discussion for each new customer? I would say it depends, and I would love to take this offline, Boris, because I would be curious to hear what kind of role you would like to create. Maybe there is a way to create a company role. So we have team roles and company roles. That could be a way to make sure that you don't have to create every single time again. But if it's okay with you, I would love to take it offline and understand better the type of role you'd like to create to answer that better. Richard, can you assign to a department? You can. It's simply about the structure of front that you have put in place. If by department you mean one specific team inbox, sales at, customer success at, operations at, then you can move a message to a team or department inbox. However, you can only assign a message to one person for a very simple and obvious reason. There has to be one owner. If you have more than one person being the owner, what happens is we're human, no one becomes the owner. So you can move it to a department inbox, and then you will then assign it to just one person at a time, but you can have more people in the loop, but there will be just one assignee at a time. Laura, it's not possible to handle LinkedIn messages from front, ? Unfortunately, it's not. Microsoft doesn't open up the API of LinkedIn, so we are not able to pull direct messages in LinkedIn inside front. But be assured that the day it is possible, we will be the first one on it. Because it's also something that we get asked a lot on the same page, vein, same for Instagram. Instagram restricts the ability to pull direct messages and comments inside applications like Front. So today it's not possible, but hopefully Facebook at some point will open that up. Other question, how can we handle internal emails with our CRM and client ones? We have a tool of prospection, so we have many clients' emails to handle. Is it possible to create two parts to really separate them? So typically the way we see Front working with CRMs is the following. A CRM is a database. With your CRM, you host your records, you host your customers' information, but you don't communicate via your CRM. You can send messages with Salesforce. You can send emails with Intercom. It's not made for it. It's not built for it. So you have Front for communication, sending, receiving emails. And on your CRM, like I showed you with Salesforce, we link it so that you get to see there is a bridge between your system of record, your database, and your system of engagement. So here, Laura, I would love to also have another chat with you offline to hear how you leverage your current CRM and see how you could then maybe transport some of the actions you have in your CRM inside Front. Let me look again on the chat if there are other questions. Eva, could you please send me the recording afterwards as well? Of course, Eva. It is recorded. I will share it with you and the team after the call. Yes. Let me see if there are other questions. Oh, yes, sorry, guys. Something that is I should actually have shown at the end of the demo is what do you do now? What can you do now? If you like it, what's possible for you to do? And I will share my screen again to show you a web page, this one. First off, you can simply go on our website and click on free trial. You have a 7-day free trial for you to test the platform for free. You have access to the full potential of the platform, and you can then get to see what features you like, you need, and how does your team also react to this new way of working. And then once you have done the trial, you also get to understand on which plan you will fall. We have 4 plans, Starter, Plus, Prime, and Enterprise. Depending on the feature that you use, you will be on either one of those 4 plans. So the trial is a great way to know on which plan you fall. And of course, if you like to have more guidance on which plan you are eligible for, or what are the detail and differences between the plans, either ask us, or here, if you click on compare all features, you have an overview of all the different features that are part of each plan. Yes, so I'm going to go back now to the questions. What about a one-person business with a lot of email? Jero, I'm going to be very honest, don't use Front. Simply because Front is made for collaboration, for teams, for working across departments, and you will, if you use Front as an individual, you will just use 1% of the potential of the platform. There are a lot of other applications that are doing what Front does, but just on the individual inbox. And I would recommend you to go into those platforms or those tools because I think they will be much better suited for you, Jero. And if you want to have also more info about this, happy to chat. Laura, likewise, we can take it offline and continue the discussion. And Daniel, of course, we will send the recording after the call. More than happy to do so. Amazing. I see no other questions on the chat. I thank you for your time. Thank you for attending. I hope this was useful. More than happy to go into more depth offline with any of you, and we will send the recording today. Thank you, guys, and I hope to speak soon. Bye-bye.